I'd like to call to order the May 20th, 2024 Wilson County Commission meeting to order. I welcome all of our guests here tonight and encourage you to come back at any opportunity that you may have. Tonight we're going to have the prayer and pledge going to be presented by Commissioner Keith. I would just ask you to remember Mayor Jack McCall, Mayor of Trousdale County, who lost his wife recently, last week, to a health battle, and just remember that's a sudden accident for them. Commissioner Keith, I'll turn it over to you.
Brother Denton, if you would, sir, be honored if you'd say the prayer for me.
Please rise.
Let's bow and go before God. Lord Jesus, we come before you tonight, and we do it reverently as our Lord, our Creator, our Sustainer, our Savior, and our friend. You're the only God, and only you are God, and thank you for your redeeming death on the cross for our sins and taking my place on Calvary and bearing the sins of the world, making a way for us to be forgiven and saved and guaranteed a place to be with you in eternity. As we trust you totally in faith tonight, we come realizing that the effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. So God, help our prayers to be effective because they're obedient, fervent in our faith, and God, help them to avail much because we trust you as a prayer answering God. So help us when our trials come not to wring our hands, but to bend our knees. So God, we've not come to give you instructions tonight. You are God, but we're reporting for duty for you to help us. So tonight, help us with our repentance in our heart as a nation. God, bring us to repentance. If our nation can't repent, God, bring our state to repentance. If our state can't repent, bring our county to repentance. If our county won't repent, bring this commission to repentance. And God, if this commission will repent tonight, God, bring me to repentance. When we have forsaken you in our land, and God, may we return in reverence today and say, God, we want to be obedient to you. We're ready to listen to your word. So make us conscious tonight that without you we can do nothing. Give us biblical wisdom and principles to represent these people. Help us to understand that nothing is politically right if it's morally wrong. May we not call good evil and evil good. Help us to curse what you curse and expect blessing that you have blessed. So help us tonight as we have compassion upon the mayor who lost his wife, as the school superintendent in Rutherford County who lost his son, and many other of our local leaders who are going through troubles and trials tonight. We ask for your manifest presence in their life. And God, we ask for your manifest presence in this place tonight. Give us divine wisdom, counsel, and guidance, that we will represent the people in a way that will honor you, and we'll be glad to stand before you someday. For it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Please remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Brother Denton. Thank you, Rusty.
Thank you, Pastor Denton, and really appreciate, I had forgotten about our Rutherford County Superintendent Asher Sullivan that passed away, so thank you for remembering that for me. If you will, press yes on your panel to record your presence at tonight's meeting. You waiting on Tommy?
Tommy's his name.
24 present, 1 absent.
24 present, 1 absent. He's here? Sometimes it's a question mark. This time, we'll have a public comment period, and public comment from our folks that signed up in the back for the rezoning and for the land use amendment plan. That will be a little bit later, so you don't have to speak at this time, but anyone else wishing to speak before the commission, this time step forward, state your name and address for the record, and we'll let you speak. Seeing none, we will close public comment period, and we'll move on to the report from the steering committee. Commissioner Fields.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the steering committee of the county commission met in regular session on Thursday, May 9th, 2024, in the upstairs conference room at the Wilson County Courthouse. Everybody has a copy of those minutes. I move that they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Adoption of the agenda. Commissioner Fields.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, everybody has a copy of the agenda. I'll make a motion that it be received and approved.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Consent agenda. Commissioner Fields.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we do have a consent agenda. We have two resolutions. 24-5-1 is a line item transfer in animal control, and Resolution 24-5-2 is a line item transfer in stormwater. I'll make a motion to approve both of these resolutions.
You always vote on these, Mike, or they got to go?
Yeah, you got to call it.
Everybody got a motion? Do I hear a second? Yes. I got a motion and a second. Are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. You good? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. My screen's not working, Corey. What's that?
24 yes, 1 absent.
24 yes, 1 absent. Resolution passes. Special recognition tonight, Commissioner Hall. Corey, my screen, can you help me?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to invite anybody that's a Teacher of the Year nominee up here to join me. Mind just line up either side.
They let you in. Thought they'd have kept you out. You from Watertown. You know, Miss Hurd.
Righty. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, honoring the nominees for the 2023-2024 Wilson County Teacher of the Year. Whereas Wilson County and its citizens are fortunate to have two outstanding educational systems as well as choices for private education, and whereas the administration, faculty, and staff of each of the schools is committed to providing a first-class education and learning experience for the students of these schools, and whereas each year the administration and faculty of each school nominates a teacher for Wilson County Teacher of the Year, and whereas the individual nominees for Teacher of the Year at their schools are as follows: McKenna Futrell, Barry Tatum Academy; Ashley Capps, Byers Dowdy Elementary; Christian McFarland, Beryl Oakland Elementary; Laura Nicole Brashear, Castle Heights Elementary; Lisa Johnson, Coles Ferry Elementary; Kim Gaines, Elsie Patton Elementary; Kim Pippin, Friendship Christian; Melanie Stewart, Gladeville Elementary; Christy Sapp, Gladeville Middle School; Jacob Wheeler, Green Hill High School; Emily Allison, Jones Brummett Elementary; Brittany Cohn, Lakeview Elementary; Kimberly Atwood, Lebanon High School; Kelly Roberts, Mount Juliet Christian Academy; Angel Thomas, Mount Juliet Elementary; Samantha Ritchie, Mount Juliet High School; Jessica Gray, Mount Juliet Middle School; Jade Foote, Rutland Elementary; Michelle Randolph, Sam Houston Elementary; Jessica Roper, Southside Elementary; Elise Ware, Springdale Elementary; Haley Lavender, Stoner Creek Elementary; Amber Sturgeon Cummings, Tucker's Crossroads; Heather Lounsbury, W.A. Wright Elementary. Kim Allison, Walter J. Baird Middle School. Mindy White, Watertown Elementary. Seth Grandstaff, Watertown High School. Alicia Anderson, Watertown Middle School. Madison Lean, West Elementary. Cheryl Scudder, West Wilson Middle School. Carmen Ionita, Wilson Central High School. Adam Bannock, Wilson County Adult High School. And Krista Patton, Winfrey Bryant Middle School. And whereas this year Jessica Roper of Southside Elementary School was selected as Wilson County Teacher of the Year, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Wilson County, Tennessee, that we hereby recognize the outstanding dedication and commitment of each of these teachers to their profession and to their students, and congratulate them on being the nominee of their school for Wilson County Teacher of the Year. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be presented to the principal of each school represented for display in that school.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And we'll be sending a copy of this. It'll be nice and pretty for you guys to your school. And if you will, just come to the mic and introduce yourself and tell us which school you're with.
And then
You're free to go.
yeah. Emily Allison Jones Brummett, 4th grade.
Jessica Roper, Southside, 3rd grade. Kim Gaines, Elsie Patton, 3rd grade.
Hi, I'm Krista Patton, and I teach at Winfrey Bryant Middle School, grades 6 through 8 art, and RTI Tier 2 intervention for math. So, thank you.
Nicole Brashear, Castle Heights Elementary, 3rd grade, reading and social studies.
I'm Ashley Capps. I teach at Byers Dowdy. It's K through 5 arts.
I'm Lisa Johnson. I teach at Coles Ferry, and I teach English as a second language.
Brittany Cohen. I teach 3rd grade at Lakeview Elementary, and it's ELA and social studies.
Thanks to all of our teachers that came tonight, and Commissioner Hall for recognizing those. At this time, we have a public hearing for a rezoning, so I'll need a motion to go out of session. And a second. All in favor, say aye. I'll ask Mr. Tom Bashir to come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First public hearing we have is for a land use plan amendment and rezoning. A public hearing will be held before the Wilson County Commission on Monday, May 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. or thereafter in the County Commission Room of the Wilson County Courthouse located at 228 East Main Street, located here in Lebanon, Tennessee, to hear comments on the following items: a land use plan amendment and a rezoning request to the property, both of which application has been made by Freehill Ventures LLC with permission from property owners Truist Bank as trustee for the Janet W. Williams, John Blackwell, Jonathan Dugdale, James and Cindy Bilbrey property, and Scott Meyer property, and Nancy Porter property, who have applied jointly requesting a land use plan amendment and rezoning from high-density residential area to the commercial center area for the land use plan amendment, and from A1 zoning to C4 plan commercial for the zoning portion of the request. The property is further referenced as map 137, parcel 35.01, property map 141, parcels 2.02, 2.04, 2.15. And the request is the rezoning request is to go from R1 rural residential to C4 commercial, as well as Wilson County property map 140, parcel 7.02, property map 141, parcels 1, 2.11, and 2.113. The combined parcels for this request contain approximately 180.7 acres on the east and west sides of McCrary Road, a copy, as well as a portion of Couchville Pike. A copy of each request has been on file at the Wilson County Development Services Office Planning Division here in the basement at 228 East Main Street, and has been available for inspection during regular business hours. The land use plan amendment and rezoning of property request will be heard on final reading by the Wilson County Commission following the public hearing. Anyone desiring to comment is requested to come forward at this time.
Here to speak on the McQuarrie property, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, please. There are 3 minutes to your comments, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Estes. I am the developer for the project in front of you, and my address is 2925 Berry Hill Drive, Nashville, Tennessee. I'd like to start by taking a moment to once again reference the location of this project. We are located beside the Nissan building. We have 840 in front of us, Hurricane Creek around us, and the water treatment plant behind us. We started this project back in 2022, and naturally, as anyone should, we started with Mr. Brashear at the planning department, and we were very quickly told that this area has significant and historic issues, and maybe we should call Mr. Murphy and talk about access to start with. So we thank Mr. Brashear, got on the phone, called Steve, and myself and a couple of my team members met Mr. Murphy out there at the intersection of Couchville and McCrary. He spent some time talking to me about it, and I always forget if it's a FedEx truck or a UPS truck that got submerged and the driver had to swim out of the intersection there. But we very quickly got introduced to what seemed to be a very long-standing flooding problem at the intersection of McCrary, Vesta, and Couchville Pike out there. We then thanked him for his time, went back home, figured yikes, and went to work. We spent the next several months going back and forth with Wilson County Road Department on alternative designs, ways to solve the problem, what could be done out there. And then we got back involved with Mr. Brashear and talked about the land use plan and other things. I say all that to say that in front of you is a solution that has through probably a dozen meetings between the county departments, we've come to a solution to improve many of the long-term area projects out there. We are going to widen 6,400 feet of road from the Love's Travel Stop all the way down Couchville, all the way down McCrary, across the bridge, and going across the bridge and transitioning that pavement back to the other side on the Speedway side. We're going to widen that road from 22 feet to 29 foot wide and add 4-foot shoulders to accommodate safe truck traffic, and that will be done not on the county dollar, but on our dollar. We're also going to be added a bridge to that. Now, we went through Planning Commission and have a recommendation of approval. However, the bridge was not part of that approval process. But once again, not only meeting with neighbors and the county, we've also had many, many meetings with Commissioner Hobbs and Commissioner Evans. And it was kind of, well, when we got through everything, it was very evident that the bridge was substandard out there. Now, I live in Nashville now, but I started in Wilson County and remember when the Speedway was built, and have lovely, lovely memories of 840, because in college I had to blue top about 6 miles of it, and it was really rough college summer there doing surveying. But I remember there was nothing here, and that bridge was here long before I was. That bridge is old, and today there is a lot of traffic that go over the bridge. Maybe it's not supposed to be truck traffic, but Amazon sends their fleet of vehicles over it to get gas at Love's twice a day. Semis go over it, and there's a lot of development that's happened out here, and that bridge is no longer what I would consider, well, trusting bridge.
Mr. Kevin, your 3 minutes is up, sir.
Oh, okay. If you could bear with me for 15 seconds and I'll wrap it up.
15
I
seconds.
apologize.
Yes, sir, no worries.
So in the end, we've agreed to replace that bridge to a proper bridge size. We've agreed to widen the road. We've agreed to do a flood study. And all this must be signed off by the county engineer, and we put it in writing as part of this amendment before we'll go forward and get building permits or anything. So we will be good to our word. We're local people. We've done this for a long time. And I'm here with a recommendation of approval from the commission, and I'm asking y'all for approval. And I'll be here for any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next. State your name and address for the record.
Joe Davis. We live at 4040 Vesta Road. We're adjoining the East Side project. Mr. Quinn and Mr. Estes has talked to us before. They have made some concessions. The building being 200 feet from our property line, that's how far you hear the dingers supposedly when the trucks back up. A berm 8 to 10 foot tall. We got horses there now that we train and board on our own. Pay for training and boarding or at least part of it, while the clearing and the construction's going on. Hopefully the in and out would be on the lower road part of the project, not on our side. That's kind of in question now. And the sewer close to our property line. Some concerns that I still have is it's obviously against or contrary to the use plan. The sewer out this way, they tell me, well, the sewer department told me at different times, and some this year, that the pumping stations are at or near capacity. And even that was the case 2 years ago when a prior developer was talking about it. And they all needed to be updated. The next biggest thing is Vesta and the four-way stopper. Now it's going to be a three-way, I guess. The trucks seem to have free access to this intersection. And the residents, well, if you're coming from Gladeville, the way I understand it, you have to stop twice to go to 840. And from Vesta, you have to stop once and obviously wait for the trucks to go through. They don't stop at all. Now, I talked to Mr. Quinn and Mr. Estes about that, and they said they would further study that, but that was a plan at this time. And they have addressed most of the issues that we brought up from the first. I will say that. And if I was a commissioner, I would ask that, and he mentioned that all or part of the road work be done before the construction. It's obviously been on some talk on the computer, and different people have said that in Mount Juliet, and this is just off, word of mouth, that in Mount Juliet, some of the projects, after the building got started, the road work was awful slow. Or the road improvements that were promised. And I'm not saying they won't do what they say. I'm sure they will. But that would just be, if I were in your place, something that I might suggest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Joe. Next.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Wright. I live at 1738 Vesta Road and have for the past 15 years. I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight to you commissioners. My husband and I are both opposed to this proposal. I am not opposed to development in general, but I am opposed with the current road redesign. It's currently a four-way stop. The proposal doesn't even look like it'll be a three-way stop. And so my concern is semis barreling down through there. We have horses, often pull a horse trailer. You're gonna have to swing out into the other lane, and it just it's a safety issue. I'm also worried, as the developer mentioned, about the flooding, that we're going to trade what is currently an inconvenience some of the time. It doesn't always flood once a year. I think it's actually been 3 years since it flooded, for an inconvenience every day. To me, it looks like routing the additional industrial traffic onto 452 makes a lot more sense. That road is already 4 lanes. The exits already have 2 lanes coming on and off the ramps, and there are traffic signals that are already installed. The Couchville Pike exit already struggles to handle the traffic at times during the day, so it's truly concerning what the additional implications would be of additional traffic with the employees and semis and what that would mean to our Vesta Road and McCrary community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amanda. Next.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come here. My name is Roy Denny. Other than the time I was gone for the Army, I've lived on Vesta Road my entire life, which will say about 54 years other with Army time spent someplace else. So I know a little bit about this that some of the new folks don't. I don't know whether the plan has changed for the intersection there at McCrary and Vesta Road, but when Haskell and I were talking about it earlier, he said that it was going to be raised about 8 feet. That's not enough, people. That is not enough. It gets higher than that now. If you block that off where the water's not going through, it will simply dam up, make a higher lake, and come across the road. Somebody needs to look at that. Up there on the picture where the driveway comes over to McCrary Road from the property on the west side, there's a water crossing there. And I think Mr. Evans brought it up to somebody after he and I had talked about it, and they were telling him that that's not a water crossing, it's where it's backed up. I'm going to suggest that those people have never been on that road when the water was up. I have. Even when the water goes down below the bridge, there is still water crossing there because it comes out of that elbow there on Harrican Creek, where you can see it behind that building on the east side, crosses the road and goes on to the lake. So that needs to be re-looked at. As Amanda said, I'm not going to say that I'm absolutely opposed to it. I'm just saying somebody that knows what they're looking at needs to look at it again, because the way that it is, the way that it's drawn, is not going to work. I'm not opposed to progress. I just kind of wish it had happened someplace else. But this really needs to be revisited. They need to talk to people that are longtime residents of this area and have seen what the water does, because they're just kind of taking somebody's advice. They've got engineers that are looking at the lay of the land and do not have any historical knowledge about the flow of the water. It needs to be relooked. It needs it badly, because they're going to be causing problems instead of fixing problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Next.
Would you mind giving me just a second to pass these up, or have them passed out before we start my clock? There's a lot of information there, a little bit of stuff. There's one each, yeah, there's one each. There should be enough here to go around. So we're taking to the other side, sir.
Old Jay.
Thanks. My name is Jeff Tunks. I run the city ball leagues for Watertown, and occasionally I build houses on the side, but the ball league takes a lot of my time. But anyway, reason we're here, I'm speaking on behalf of the sellers of the 3 tracks, which would be to the left, lower portion. That property is surrounded by the Corps of Engineers except for the Nissan building to the north. When the original growth plan was done, this piece of property was put into the growth plan, but as you can see, there was provided no access from Logistics Boulevard to the property. You can be commercial or you can be industrial, but you can't sell it that way because you have no access. Okay, so here we have 86 acres, I believe, that we really can't do anything with other than that, but you can't sell it because it has that. The sellers, and the reason I passed this package out, the sellers in the perfect world would have had no reason to ever sell this piece of property. None of them. I call this a perfect storm, but if you'll go through that packet, go to the second sheet of paper, the Bilberries, I'll talk about them in a second. The second sheet is the Myers. They would be basically where that bottom building is there. That's their property. Well, Roy Meyer raised dogs there, and he raised quail, and I don't know if anybody ever bought anything from him, but he raised that, and he was more than content to ride his life out there. Well, he passed away unexpectedly, and his son moved in there to take care of it and to help his wife, his mom, take care of the property. Well, guess what? He died also. The last son has no desire to do that, to raise dogs, to do anything on that piece of property. It's a rock. Not only that, it's not good for raising anything except dogs and quail. The second piece of property, or Miss Porter, is would be the north building in this same tract. They were content to live there. They built all over the world, built things and traveled all over the world. Same thing, her husband passed away. 30-something acres is far too much property for her to take care of. You put it in a commercial zoning or industrial zoning, but she can't sell it for that because they can't access McCreary Road. The Bilberries, unfortunately, and I know a few of you may have been through a divorce, are trying to get divorced. Until this property sells,
3 minutes.
They can't do that. We went out and found buyers that were willing to do and met over the period of the last 4 years, met with everybody that we could on multiple occasions. We answered every question, everything that could possibly be done, including that bridge, which if a new bridge is built. I have pictures also of that bridge. If any of you have seen it lately, it's just an accident waiting for a place to happen. I had pictures of tractor trailers there going over that bridge this week. That road will be raised up 9 feet, and there will be culverts, several of them put under that to address the water issue coming into that area. So building that road up and putting culverts under it will not back the water up and have it come over the top. So it answers that. It'll be 9 foot.
Mr. Tonks, your time is up. If you want a summary?
30 more seconds.
10.
Okay. Vesta Road, that intersection, that 4-way intersection, there's been no consideration given to the 432 home subdivision that's been approved down the road from it. 432 homes is 2,000 cars at a minimum a day coming to that intersection that won't be corrected because nobody asked that developer to do anything, will not be corrected at all. This solves their problem that you don't even know they have yet, and I say that graciously. They know they have it, but they didn't ask for it because they would have had to do it. but they're going to put 2,000 cars in that intersection every day. Every day. Minimum. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Next.
I'll leave these up here if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
If somebody wants to look at them.
Yes, sir.
Evening, everybody. My name's Nathan Quinn. I don't have anything to hand out. I just wanted to quickly address some of the concerns some of the residents brought up in relation to this project. I represent the developer as well. The sewer credits, we are going to have to go through the county for sewer credits to serve these properties. That's true. So that would be something that we have to take care of after we address the rezoning and land use plan. The road improvements are in fact tied. I'm sure you've all read this, but they are tied to the C of Os. We've committed to doing all 6,400 feet of widening, the intersection improvement in McCrary, the equalization pipes that were discussed prior to the issuance of the first C of O on the first warehouse. We've also committed after that by the final C of O that the bridge would be replaced as well. So we are committing to having all those done in writing as part of our request for a land use and a rezone. The traffic concerns that are valid, we're going to conduct a thorough traffic study as part of our design process. That'll be reviewed and vetted by the county as well to make sure that we do include the improvements at the intersection to allow for people with large horse trailers and things of that nature to make safe turning movements onto and off of Vesta, as well as the anticipated growth down Vesta Road. The flooding, we've done our best to talk to as many people that have lived here a lot longer than we have, specifically in this area. Beyond that, and getting a lot of that good feedback with estimations on how high the water gets there, we also are going to commit to doing a flood study that would also be reviewed by county engineers as well as county staff, and we're going to make sure that any improvements we make don't make matters worse. Our goal is to improve everything, but until we do that thorough flood study that will encompass not just the bridge and not just the intersection, but the entire drainage area that seems to feed this area, we're going to do everything in our power to address all those things. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next.
I'm Jason Smith. I live at the corner of McCrary, Vesta, and Couchville, primarily where the flooding takes place. I've been flooded out numerous times in the past several years, since 2010, and it does rise there about 10 foot, but I've been talking to Tom and Haskell, Commissioner, for a long time trying to come up with a remedy for this, and I think I've talked to Free Hill Ventures as well. I think their willingness to make this road a safer four-way. The four-way is not safe. There's wrecks there daily or weekly, more often than there should be. I think I'm not 100% approval of all the warehouses, but they're not going to stop. They're already there. There's 52 warehouses in that area. But I think the consensus of the entire area is that people with deep enough pockets that can help us with the flooding and prevent these problems, obviously at the cost of 5 or 6 more warehouses, is the only option that I think we have. I'm not a fan of the warehouses. I look at them every day. I deal with the semi-traffic. But to prevent the semis from getting stuck in my front yard and at the four-way, the only option there is for a road change in that area. I'm not a fan of the actual approval that they have in front of you. I think a roundabout or something that would be more beneficial to the semis turning around, because they're not going to drive out to 452. They're still going to try to turn around in that area. That would be my only concern, is a different route to be taken for that four-way, because of all the houses they're going to build and the semis are going to continue to come. We're talking probably a 3 to 5 year process to get that road out to 452. So I'm not saying I approve the warehouses, but I talked to a lot of the neighbors, and I think the only option we have is to allow the warehouses, because they're willing to fix the road. And I think their own study with the survey of water would be intuitive to find out what it actually needs and what would be done to fix that. And I think it's time that something finally be done. As I've been out there since the 70s, and the flooding has always been an issue, and the rest of the county sees it happen. And I've been underwater. I've swam out and helped people. I've pulled people out of the ditches. I've dealt with the water since the warehouses came. The warehouses caused a lot of it, but they're there and they're not going to go away. And I think this is a good option to allow somebody that's willing to fix it to help us with the flooding and annihilate it completely, obviously at the cost of their desire is to build more warehouses. So that's my 2 cents. Thanks.
Thank you. Next. Anyone else wishing to speak on the Macquarie rezoning property? If not, Tom, I'll bring you back over. I think we'll go back into session and vote on this one, and then we'll hear the next read. We'll do another public hearing on the other one. Okay. Do I have a motion to go back into session?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Mr. Tom?
Ladies and gentlemen, you have a land use plan amendment before you whereby they wish to change the land use from its current commercial direction on the east side with some means of access that doesn't include McCreary Road. That's the current land use plan. Or excuse me, on the west side. And on the east side, from its low-density residential land use direction, changing that to commercial center area. So that's the land use plan amendment that's before you. And I understand from our county attorney we need to vote on that before we consider the rezoning.
Your motion on the rezoning for the land use plan first. I'll go to Mr.
I guess I'm really confused.
Okay. I mean, I can explain what's going on with the rezoning. I can go ahead and present it. Just know that you need to do 2 separate votes, one for the land use plan amendment and one for the rezoning. So the rezoning is proposing to take the property from its current A1 agricultural zoning on the east side of McCreary Road to C4 C4 zoning, and on the west side of McCreary Road to take it from its R1 current R1 zoning and rezone it to C4. And again, it accommodates approximately 180.7 acres. You have a master plan in front of each of you that was a revised master plan. C4 is a master plan specific district. It does require that the uses be laid out. They are office, warehousing, light industrial, and manufacturing. Light manufacturing is what they're proposing. I would point you to the conditions of approval. These are commitments made by the applicant. All proposed roadway, bridge, and drainage improvements will incorporate the results of the traffic and flood studies. All associated studies and improvements will be reviewed and approved by the county engineer prior to acceptance by Wilson County. Limits of roadway improvements are shown in the revised exhibit and are included in the rezoning request. And briefly, they are going from a taper down just south of the bridge on McCreary that's been referenced, which is, I'm going to guess, about halfway between the Speedway, maybe a little less than halfway between the Speedway and the intersection with Vesta and Couchville. And they're widening the bridge, I think, to a 32-foot wide section, and then 29-foot wide roadway north of that, all the way through the intersection of Couchville Pike to just east of Love's truck stop at the intersection there, with 4-foot shoulders. They are also proposing to reconfigure that road, Couchville Pike and McCreary Road, to where they run into each other more seamlessly, I guess, from the super speedway area and the distribution facilities that are down there and the distribution and facilities that we have up here. And they are reconfiguring the intersection. My understanding is to make it more difficult for trucks to errantly travel eastward and northward by making the turn more difficult for a semi to make onto Vesta Road and then subsequently onto McCreary Road north, going north. They have agreed to submit significant drainage studies that include, in my opinion or my estimation, some 23 square mile watershed that drains to this general vicinity, that ultimately drains to the sinkhole and then on down to Percy Priest. Before they can start, they have to get that accepted and approved by our county engineer and our county road commission. So while they're raising the intersection there, we want to make sure they're not damming it up is our concern, and just moving the flood further northeast on closer to Mr. Smith's property where he's already had some flooding, and some of his neighbors to the north have had inundation in their yard in particular. I think Mr. Smith has actually had it under his house. So those are kind of the high points that I can remember. Yes, Chad?
No, I got it. And so what we're going to do first is vote to amend the land use plan to allow for the rezoning. The rezoning will be second. If you vote not to amend the land use plan, there'll be no need to hear the rezoning piece. So you got to amend the land use plan first. No more explanation really needed on that, is there?
Can we hear from the district commissioner?
We're going to go to them, yes, no question. But I was just trying to get the order done. So that's where we're at right now, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Hobbs or Commissioner Evans, either one, and then I know we got questions from Mr. Bernard and Mr. McFarland. Mr. Hobbs?
This project right here has got many hours in this. As far as my side of the street goes, for you commissioners that don't know, a lot of questions have been asked. This road pretty much divides me and Mr. Evans, Commissioner Evans. On my side of the street, it's already commercialized. It's not impacting no residents. On Commissioner Evans' side, it is impacting residents. And the way we handle this area out here is when we go with something, a project like this, we go together because it affects both districts. They're not going to give you 100% that they're going to fix all the flooding. Will it help? Of course it's going to help. If you've lived in that area long enough, I've seen that flood 100 times, just like Jason Smith said. His house has been underwater. All them houses right there on the intersection are underwater. Some of them are probably full of mold, which they have offered to buy them houses out. The problem is we're also, we got to think back as far as the reason we're in these seats. We work for the people. We don't work for what we think's best. We listen to their voices. It's kind of split us votes. I'm for this project. Mr. Haskell is not for this project. But we're going to go together on it. And what I'm going to recommend is just deferring it for another 60 days for this flood study to get back and see if we can't rework that interchange. And I'll let Mr. Haskell speak.
Mr. Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like Commissioner Hobbs said, this has been a long journey. There's been a lot of hours put in on this, looking at both sides. I hope that both sides know that this was not an easy decision, and I say against myself a lot, but like Commissioner Hobbs said, if we're not here to represent the people that put us here, why are we even here? I can't support it, anything that's going to add more traffic into the Loves area, which is already congested and dangerous. That's a safety issue. The new intersection itself is a safety issue. I don't want to trade one for another. It's going to create a bypass from 452 to Cowsville Pike, which will increase the traffic and trucks, and there's another safety issue. Another thing that hasn't really been brought up a lot is Glayville Utility. Mr. Tom, if you could put the map back up there for a second. Glayville Utility is right across the fence from this project area, and their wells are not far from the project line. Currently, there's no flooding and no danger there, but
Mr. Evans, I'm hostage till they get.
It's okay.
Okay.
But by raising this up and adding blacktop and increasing runoff, we don't know what that's going to do. I'm not ready to jeopardize the drinking water for 9,000 people personally. The bigger issue, like Commissioner Hobbs said, is I don't have an issue with the west side, but on the east side right there, that's what I've heard over and over is this would be opening the door to more C4 on the east side of McCrary, which has always been the boundary line. Every one of these folks that lives on Vesta Road and Gwynn Road sees what's happened on Cowsville Pike, and they have valid concerns about that. Now, as far as the 400 homes on the other end of Vesta, I think it's more like 200. Tom might could.
Yes, it's.
But I've heard the 400 number thrown out because it sounds a lot better saying 2,000 cars versus saying whatever. But still, there would be some more from there.
Our recollection is 221, 222 homes.
Right. As far as the flood study, that would be beneficial, and I would support Commissioner Hobbs in asking for a deferral until the results of the flood study come back, because there's a lot of faith required to commit to something with unknown results. And not only that, but on the left-hand side of your screen above Mr. Tom's marker there,
you want it?
They would have to have permission from those landowners to go onto their property to do these things. To go onto private property to do these things. That's committing to a lot that I don't know that you can really support. So I would agree with Commissioner Hobbs that we ask for a deferral on this. And if they're not, then I would move that we deny this request based on staff recommendation.
So on the land use plan amendment, I got a motion to defer for 60 days, I believe, from Commissioner Hobbs. Yes. And a second from Commissioner Evans. Now discussion, any other? Mr. Bernard, did you get your questions answered?
Well, I just was going to say that they sound like there's a lot of, well, if this happens or this happens, so I think that's the right call.
Got you. Commissioner McFarland, anything you want to add? Any other questions or comments?
I do have one more comment. Why can't they separate this project? Why can't they separate these buildings from the project and bring it back?
Mr. Hobbs, that has been discussed quite a bit, but as I understand it, between Mr. Evans and the applicants, as well as you and the applicants, as well as us, the only thing I can tell you, the response I got today when I asked the question was that they cannot make the numbers work for the amount of improvements that they're committing to on this plan with just one half of the project, respectfully. And I mean, I'm not speaking for the developer. That's from the developer's perspective. That's the response I got.
The question was asked to me, something in the room, and that's the reason I told you to say that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we vote? All in favor for the deferral, vote aye. Aye. Any opposed? Let the record reflect as unanimous. Do I need to vote on the rezoning now?
You do, don't you, Tom? Yes.
Yeah.
You'll need a vote for the rezoning. That does come to you with a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Rezoning, do I hear a motion?
Motion to defer for 60 days.
I got a motion by Commissioner Evans and a second by Commissioner Hobbs. Other comments or questions on the rezoning of McQuarrie Road?
I have a question for Tom, just so we all understand. These promises that have been made for improvements to roads, bridges, and so forth, will they be tied directly to the rezoning? If they don't happen, does the rezoning go away, Tom?
Well, we would get letters of,
Yes or no question?
we would get letters of, the rezoning would not, we don't have any way to revert the zoning.
That's what I want you to say.
Yeah.
Once we vote to rezone, that property is rezoned.
It is.
You can't tie these promises to that rezone,
The promises are tied to the master plan.
to the master plan. not
And
to
the master plan's part and parcel of the zoning.
And if that master plan does not receive board, the developers, or whatever, for whatever reason, someone can bring a new master plan, but the zoning's already in place, correct?
That's true, but you have to vote on the new master
I
plan.
understand that.
Okay.
But once we vote to rezone this piece of property or any piece of property, it reverts back because somebody doesn't.
We do have some reversionary clauses in our PUDs, but not in C4.
Like, it's, the answer is no.
Right.
correct?
Yes,
It's done.
that's correct.
Any other questions, comment? Commissioner Kurtz?
Follow up on that, Tom. Could this commission not rezone that again? Could we not vote to rezone that back to current zoning or previous zoning?
You have that right.
I mean, if we rezone it, this commission can then rezone it again. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Does that have to come from the property owner, though, or we
It does-
can't just
no,
willy-nilly
it does
rezone
not.
a property, right?
It does not. Annexations do have to come from the property owner. The county commission does have the right to zone people's property with public hearing.
Any other questions or comments on the deferral? Motion and a second to defer it. Any other questions? All in favor of defer for 60 days, say aye. Any opposed? Let the record reflect as unanimous. Need a motion to go back out of session? All in favor, say aye. Now we'll talk about zoning ordinance amendments. Mr. Tom?
Ladies and gentlemen, a public hearing will be held before the Wilson County Commission on Monday, May 20th, 2024 at 7 p.m. or thereafter in the County Commission Room of the Wilson County Courthouse located at 228 East Main Street in Lebanon, Tennessee. The following items will be considered: an amendment to the Wilson County zoning ordinance, amending the requirements that prohibit routine on-street parking of vehicles. A copy of this amendment has been on file in the Wilson County Development Services Office, Planning Division at 228 East Main Street here in the basement, and has been available for inspection during regular business hours. The above referenced item will be heard on first and final reading by the County Commission following the public hearing. Anyone desiring to comment is requested to come forward at this time.
Anyone here wishing to speak on the zoning ordinance amendments? Seeing none, we'll close public comment period and go back into session. Do I hear a motion? Motion. Second. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Okay, this amendment initially started out as a out-and-out removal of on-street parking requirements from our zoning ordinance. After some discussion with the Sheriff's Office, we've opted to leave that provision in our zoning ordinance. This is something that the Sheriff's Office and zoning receives complaints about, is when people are constantly parking on the street in certain neighborhoods. It only has ever applied to neighborhoods where the average lot size is less than 2 acres, and it has to be in a major subdivision, meaning it's 5 lots or better. Because we're leaving it in there, what we did amend is a clause that requires that if they have a homeowners association, that the homeowners association, there has to be some evidence that the homeowners association has tried to take action upon the matter before the county offices will go out there. And I think that applies to both us and the Sheriff's Office. The other thing that we're doing is, many times the complaints that people are talking about on on-street parking are occurring at off hours after we are not in the office, in the zoning office. The Sheriff's Office has agreed that in those circumstances, if we go out there on a complaint that someone's lodged and we do not find the complaint at the time that we're investigating it, we will forward that complaint on to the Sheriff's Office so they can check it after hours. If they find something, they'll go to the door and make them aware that they may have a zoning issue.
Ready to vote on the amendment? Any questions or comments? Do I hear a motion? Got a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions?
This does come to you with a positive recommendation from the Planning Commission.
Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Let the record reflect as unanimous.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice evening.
Report from Minutes Committee, Commissioner Fields.
Mr. President, the Committee of the County Commission of Wilson County, Tennessee met in regular session on Thursday, May 9th, 2024. In the upstairs conference room. A copy of those minutes are in your packet. I move that they be received and filed.
Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Reading of the minutes. All in favor, say aye. Any discussion? Commission from Chair, Mr. Jerry McFarland would like to speak to you at this time. You know, on your computer, you can push request to speak. Nobody's done that yet tonight, but it's there at the bottom.
That option's
Yes.
not there, Mr. Mayor. It just turns your microphone on.
Got you. Mr. Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the commission, those friends and neighbors in the audience, you have on your desk a document. This is the first history book of Wilson County, and it was originally printed in 1879. It's got some really good material in there of what took place in that day and time, and I think it's about third page back in there. It says about, if I can see in small print, the people of Wilson County are not savages. They are moral, intelligent, patriotic, industrial people, and as such have a history. So as far as we know, it has never been written. This is the first time it's written, and it's really good information in there. These will be available for sale at our 225th event we'll have on the 26th of October. During the 225th event of the state 3 years ago, this was the poster that the state had, and this is an artist's rendition of something we could do for the county, and I see a lot of changes are going to need to be made, but I think it's coming along. Material is being bought. We got to buy easels for some of the things, but it's coming along. We just want to give you guys a report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner McFarland. Any additions to be added to the notary list?
They were handed out this evening.
Notary list is on your desk. I hear a motion to approve those when you're ready. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. E911 Board, 3 members you are to confirm. My appointment of 3 members to serve a 4-year term on the Emergency Communication Board. I'd like to recommend for your consideration Mr. Ken Davis, Mr. Ron Britt, which is in our audience tonight, and Ms. Jennifer Hamlin. You've had information in the packets about those people. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Library Board, a member. You're to elect 1 member to serve a 3-year term. Wilson County Library Board, per recommendation of Board Vice Chair, Mr. Bobby Franklin. I'd like to recommend to your consideration Mr. Rob Scherer, Vice Chairman. Franklin's letter recommendation was in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Report from the Emergency Management Committee, Commissioner Bernard.
No report.
Emergency Management Director's report. Mr. Newberry will be our speaker tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Y'all did good. Y'all didn't let Jerry have any technology up here. He got left out.
Amen.
So, quick update. You have the report there that has the monthly totals. I won't go into those. You've got that report. We'll kind of go through the status over the last couple of weeks as far as weather. We had several activations for weather on the 6th of May, and you've got a map there. It's kind of hard to see, so if you need a more detailed, just get a hold of us and we can get you an updated one there in color. That was an EF0, had about a half-a-mile track for about 50 yards wide. That was out in the northeastern portion of the county. So there was a lot of trees down Taylorsville, Goshen Road, Young Road, out in that area. So a lot of good work there between public service agencies and neighbors that came out and helped and all kinds of things of that nature. So no injuries that we were aware of with that. And then had some wind damage on the 8th and 9th, some flooding with that as well. We did deploy a couple of water rescue teams for mutual aid over in Sumner County with some assistance to them, and also some search and rescue teams down in the Columbia, Murray County area that got hit pretty hard there as well. So kind of a busy week there as far as that goes. On the second page of that report is some totals as far as outages and statistics that you can browse through there at your leisure. Do want to mention this week is EMS week. This is the 50th year that it's actually been recognized. So if you get a chance to stop by in the stations or, grab those folks, tell them thank you. They work hard each and every day from from the aspect of training and education and the jobs that they do out there. And just kind of give you a historical moment to that. 1973 was the first year that Wilson County bought an ambulance. And with that, at the time, was Chief Wendell Organ, which we know was killed here in town at the hotel fire. And then also during that year, Paul Buckingham, Gerald Phillips, and Porter Robinson finished EMT school. So that was the first four that started at the time civil defense and started the ambulance service up there as well. So just to mention also within that EMS week, a lot of partners go on that, not just the folks that are on the ambulance, the fire engines. So we have Watertown Fire, Lebanon Fire, Mount Juliet Fire, and all the dispatchers and the people in the shops and administration. I mean, it's a team effort by everybody. So tomorrow morning at 9:30, if you have an opportunity, we'll have a proclamation signing by the mayor here in the office. So you're welcome to swing by and be involved in that as well. And that's all I got, unless you have any questions.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Thank you, Chief Newberry. Appreciate that. Report from the Law Enforcement Committee, Commissioner Kurtz.
Law Enforcement Committee met on Thursday, May 9th up here in the conference room. The minutes are in your packet. I move they be received and filed.
Comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Sheriff's report, Sheriff Bryan.
Thank you, Mayor, County Commissioners. Your report's in your packet. Calls for service are up. Civil process is up. Several of them are elevated a little bit, mainly because, in my opinion, it's getting warmer every day. And so it's probably going to go up. We're staying busy. School's fixing to let out here pretty close. I know everybody's looking forward to that except for a lot of the parents. But so during that time, we catch up on a lot of our training and stuff like that during the summertime, so they'll be busy training most of the year. Inmates are doing their best to stay out on the roads. We've done a lot of, Chief Newberry was talking about the storms we had past few weeks. Well, we've actually had inmates out cleaning trees and different things like that, but they're trying to stay busy on the roads. As of this morning, we are, let me say this, okay? Over the past several months, I've come here and reported about corrections and shortage of deputies and where we're at. I've come in here before and said we were as little as 3 or 4 short. Well, that's all changed. That changes daily pretty much. We're 15 short today. And I'm sitting here telling you, it's, now, I know we're going to discuss this in the next few days in budget meetings, and but there really needs to be some serious consideration about pay for all employees, okay? We've got to take care of our employees. And it's hard when you're 15 down. It's people, the morale back there is, I talked to several of them today, and I feel sorry for them. And I just asked, the reason why I'm bringing it up tonight, we got every one of you in the room, okay? And we'll have these discussions, but in the end, we have to take care of our employees, and I'm going to stand up here and do that. And I would appreciate all the help I can get from it with it. But that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Discussion, questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sorry, Mayor. I didn't mean to.
No.
Sheriff, I appreciate you saying that about the employees and needing to take care of them. I know where your heart is, and I hope everyone else on this commission has the same heart to take care of our employees in there. We've looked at the pay of them, and it's extremely low. And where I look at a benchmark is a 20-year employee only makes $55,000 a year as a patrol deputy, and that is extremely low for law enforcement. It really is. And I know that there's hard decisions to be made because you have to pay for it somehow. So we either have to make cuts or find revenue. But far too long, they've been paid a little low, much lower today, obviously, as inflation rises and other agencies and cost of living goes up significantly. But I worry if we can't staff the jail, you have to have deputies come off the road to staff the jail, because the jail has to be staffed. And if we take deputies off the road, that means our districts aren't going to be patrolled. And that scares me, especially as we see what I call the Nashville crime influence of crime crossing over to Nashville and influencing our county, how we make arrests, a bunch of car burglars, and they don't live here, they live elsewhere. We have to take care of our people. We have to ensure they're safe. And to ensure they're safe, we have to ensure we are taking care of the employees who keep this county safe. And again, just thank you for bringing that up.
Other questions or comments? Sheriff, I got a question.
And I appreciate what you're saying, and but in the end, we're one of the fastest growing counties in pretty much the state and country, and we're just going to continue to grow. But in the end, we just want to take care of our employees.
Sheriff, help me a little bit. The 15 that you're down now, I knew that, are they all in one particular area, or are they just spread out across the board? And is this all of a sudden? Because I know you said earlier you'd come in here and said you'd kind of gotten caught up a little bit. Help us understand that.
I have come in here and said I've gotten caught up in several meetings, but that's not where we're at today. We're short. And yes, they're all, the 15 short is in corrections, 100%. Every one of them's corrections. And I can explain from talking to the people today, majority of it's pay. A lot of it's, and y'all, I've been in front of this commission several times asking for more overtime money. We're working them to death. They don't have time to spend with their family. And it's causing morale problems back there. I talked to some this morning. They just need a little help, but every one of these shortages is in corrections, and we're hiring people, and saying that too. We're not getting no applicants. We're not getting none, and I think there's some horror stories about working in a jail environment where you get feces and different things thrown on you. Getting in altercations, trying to protect yourself and protecting other inmates, getting hurt. And it's not your regular job. Being a patrol officer is not your regular job. Patrol officer, and I say it every time, they get up in the morning or before their shift, they don't just go to work. They strap a gun on. Okay? They strap a gun on to protect herself, and they may not come home. And I know we're going to have these discussions. That's all.
So it's in corrections, patrol, lieutenants, captains, those are okay?
Yes, pretty much. The 15 I'm saying right now are in corrections.
Got you. Commissioner Kurtz?
Sure. Looking at our the current pay plan that we're in, and I said this before, I said it on the radio, if any of y'all have listened to the radio about that, I'll own the fact that I didn't pay enough attention, and I thought everybody was slotted out across that pay plan. But we don't have anybody at the sheriff's office that is at the top end of that pay plan, do we?
Of this?
I'm sorry, not in the grade, but over in the steps.
I can answer that for you. They don't, because when we first looked at it, you brought it up in our meeting the other day, 0 to 5 years wasn't a certain category, 5 to 10. We couldn't afford to put all of them in a year as experience levels, so we plugged them into the system in that regard. All of them are not at step 1. I think we talked the other day with Aaron, some are at step 11, but nobody's at step 16, but you wouldn't want that. For example, as we talked about, let's plug everybody in to where you want them on the 16 at the years they have now. Well, all we have in our record is the years that you've been working for the sheriff's department. He may have taken a jailer and moved his way up, and now he's a captain, but he's only been a captain for 2 years. And you put him at 16 years as a captain over somebody that just now got there as a captain, he'll have morale issues for that one for sure. So that system is different for sure, but there's some at step 11, none at step 16, but that was why it was designed that way in the beginning. They staggered the years, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15.
Thank you, Mayor. And I know our minds aren't going to come to an agreement on that ever, because I can look at
That's just a fact.
and I understand.
Well, I mean, yeah,
we just won't come to agreement on it, but because we can look at teacher pay plans, and I disagree. We hire teachers all the time. Wilson County couldn't hire teachers if they had the same mentality that I'm going to hire a teacher with a doctorate with 15 years of experience and start them at step 1. We couldn't hire teachers. We have to pay them comparable. But my point is, back in the jail, and I'm looking around the room, and I wouldn't think, and I could be wrong, maybe Mr. Denton, because he's on a fixed income, being retired. But right at $40,000 a year, maybe a little less than $40,000 a year, $19 and some change is what a correction officer is making right now. How do they live on that? You know, how do they raise a family on that? And I'm not saying that we need to break the bank in paying people, but if you all ever toured the jail, that's one thing. Work back in there. Go in there and work. And most people don't want to work around people that out in the community we don't want to be around. And they're going in every day working around them. And that's just how it is. And this is something that I can't lay down on. And I have to go in that courthouse over there and look at the transport officers and look at all these in the eye, and they're asking me, why am I not making more money? Now, you could say, well, go somewhere else. You agreed to take the job, go somewhere else. That's what they're going to do. They can go city sanitation and make more money. They can go to a different division in the county, the road commission, and make more money. And we number one, we need to look at our starting pay of these correctional officers. And as Commissioner Chandler said before, then we got to be careful about pay compression, because we have to bring everybody else up as well. I know we went in this pay plan, but I was under the impression you got paid for the number of years you had in service. Is that going to break the bank? We're getting ready to vote on a budget, and I'm not so sure. And I know we could argue it comes out of 2 different pots, and we have the money in debt service over here to make a payment. But I got to go home and look my people in the eye. I got to look my family in the eye, my father-in-law in the eye, and convince him that, oh, we're paying that out of somebody else's money, but we're going to raise your property taxes when it comes time to pay employees. I don't know where our values are. I know where mine are, and mine are going to be taking care of our people. And if that means sacrificing and building buildings later, that might be what we have to do. I don't know an answer right now.
I spoke to a few employees this morning, and it's sad. I said, well, it's sad. They can't afford to live here. They live in other counties, okay? And they can't afford the gas to get to work. I've got an employee that applied for financial assistance, state funded, and she makes $27 too much, and she lives in another county. And that's where I'm getting at. Again, we're going to have these discussions. I appreciate what y'all are saying, and I just ask that a serious look be looked at this. And we talk about patrol. We talk about patrol officers. No, I'm not shorting patrol, but I've got other agencies across this state in this county that are their pay is going up come July. It's going up, and let's not leave them out, because they're putting their lives on the line every day. I've had officers shot. Still got the bullet in his foot. And I just ask that we work together on this, and we can make this happen. That concludes my report.
Commissioner Breeze? And I will say this while we're on it, and I said it the other night in our budget committee, and all of you wasn't here. We've worked hard at addressing pay. So nobody will sit in here and say that we haven't tried to address pay over the last few years. 22 million something that you have granted, and that's reoccurring dollars too, and it could be mounted more than that. So I don't want us to look at like what we're talking about tonight and saying, you know, those officers, we're just not paying them well. We've raised that pay over time. It's not where it needs to be today, for sure, but that has changed. It was changed that way with EMTs and paramedics not too long ago when we addressed that. But as you call around the county today and say, hey, do you have some openings? And we've done that through our office. We don't have a lot of openings. We have a bleed that's here in the Sheriff's Department, in the correctional spot is what he's just talked about, and we need to address that. The pay plan that you have, that you've approved, was a system in here that really guaranteed our employees a 2% step. You could always give them more, but if you remember back a few years, we were fighting to get anything. Finally, Kenny Rich passed a resolution and said, hey, if growth money is enough, let's give them their money up front. And we did that. And the pay step plan, what it did was it said that we don't have to come to you. They're going to get their money up front, a 2% step automatically. And then whatever's left over, you decide what you want to do with the growth. So each year we've made steps for our employees. We fought for our employees. So to sit here and say that we haven't worked for them is not a truth, because you've done that. Now, we said, hey, look, every 3 years doing the pay plan is not working. Y'all said that last year. Let's do it every 2 years. Because, as he said in July, everybody's going to call around and raise their fees up, and that's true. And we have the right to do that this year. This is the off year. And we can't get a study done quick to get one done right now for this year. You could raise revenue any way you want to raise it and do that, but then next year when you have the study come out, you know, all of the employees then will be adjusted in that. That study normally comes in at, Aaron can correct me, but $6 or $7 million, and that requires quite a bit of revenue to do that. The last time we did it, Aaron found the money in the budget, and you didn't have to raise revenue to do that. Don't know what next year holds. But that is the thing I think that we have had discussions on. We've not had discussions on do we want to take care of our people. That's a no-brainer, and our history has proven that. So we want to take care of people. The question is, can we stop the bleeding a little bit this time and do the pay study for everybody next time, or no, you know, we just do something across the board and then maybe take the hit 2 years in a row. Back to the money that we set aside in the debt service, again, that's pennies that you guys set aside in each category to pay for the different stuff that you choose to pay for. The reason the multi-level court system is coming to you today is because there's enough money in there to take care of that need, just like when Mr. Jeff gets up in a little bit and he'll talk here in a month or two about schools. So we set aside money in those categories for you to take care of that, for us to be able to manage that. But the money that you're talking about for employees, yes, is in the general fund, and that would have to be some other type of revenue, whatever you choose to do when you choose to bite that bullet off, whenever that might be. But I just know that when we start talking about employees and pay, I don't think we have anybody against employees or pay. It's just how do we manage it and manage it for everybody. As we've said before, when one eats steak, let's all eat steak, and when one eats bologna, let's all eat bologna. And I think that's what you guys have done by making sure that we address them across the board. So ever how we handle it, we will, but there is no question that we are for employees, and you have proven that over the past several years. They're not where they need to be, but we'll continue to work at it. Any questions, comments from me? Any for Sheriff Bryan? Motion to approve the report. All in favor say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Report from Education Committee, Commissioner Marlowe.
Education Committee met Thursday, May the 9th, in the conference room. Minutes are in your packet. I move that you receive the files.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Director of Schools report, Mr. Jeff Luttrell.
Thank you, Mayor. You do have
my report in front of you. Try to be kind of brief. Do have current enrollment numbers. Looks like we've got 3 days of school left with students, and we're up 350 students from where we ended the year. That is a little bit down from what we've experienced in the last 3 years, but it still does show growth numbers. We also have our projections that we have right now for next year, and we're currently 20,463 students. We're going to project 20,743, and that could be low, but that's what we have based on some registration numbers we've received. I would not be surprised to hit 21,000 next year based on what we've been doing in the past 3 to 4 years. Did have the Teacher of the Year event. Thank you for honoring those teachers tonight. And just want to give a special thanks to W.P. Bone, Wilson County Motors, and Bob McDonald, Cedar Stone Bank for their continued support of Wilson County Teacher of the Year program. It's a really nice event. Honors all teachers in Wilson County. And then, of course, the big winner of the Teacher of the Year. Have some summer learning information in there. Just our dates, June the 3rd through the 27th, will be Monday through Thursday from 7:30 to 2:30. Have over 1,086 students pre-K through grade 8 enrolled in that program. So Thursday will be the last day, but by June 3rd in some sites, and I've included those locations. We're doing 4 locations, and you see the schools that are served. So there will be some little strange traffic. It won't be like we do on a regular basis, but you'll notice during those days some traffic issues around our schools. I don't think it'll be issues, but that's what's going on. Construction project updates. West Wilson Middle School, you have an invite, I think, in your packet. June the 2nd, 2 o'clock, will be a ribbon cutting ceremony, open house. Please ask you to join us if possible. That'll be the second school we finally got put back from the tornado. Still working. It's not in your report. We're still working with FEMA. We're appealing some of those projects. Some of them have been granted. I feel comfortable saying we expect $17 million from FEMA, and we're appealing that much more. I don't know how it will come out, but it's just paperwork, and well, it's a lot of work, but we're going to try to receive as much money possible from FEMA, and that will be a big plus for us and for you. I will be glad when that process is over, though, and June the 2nd, you'll get a chance to see what your funding has done in West Wilson Middle School. Legardo Elementary, walls are going up. If you notice, it's been we've had a lot of rain, so it slowed them down, but they are coming out of the ground. With that, new elementary school, Mayor mentioned earlier, Central Pike. Board has finalized the plans. They approved it May 6th. It's been sent to Fire Marshal, and we'll be going to bid, and again, be going to bid before any funding. You say, why? I want the best bid. I don't want anybody to know how much funding we got. And we've done that on the last one. I will tell you, watching some projects around the state, trending down, cost per square foot a little bit, but we will be bringing that once we get those bids, be bringing to you, and we'll just have to see where they're at. It is graduation season. Last weekend, as of 5/10/24, we graduated 1,883 students. And we're not finished yet. We still have our adult learning. Wednesday will be a special day. I'd like to thank the sheriff. He's got out of here on us, but we have partnered, got back in the jail, and we've got several of those graduates who have passed the HiSET and will be earning that equivalence degree, and we're going to hand it to them because that's important for our community. As part of that process is that they get to continue that education. And then again on Thursday night, we've got several that will be Adult Learning Center, Fairview Church. They have earned their HiSET, and we're still giving HiSET. This will just continue. But will not be surprised to top over 2,000 high school graduates or equivalency. I've shook 1,888 hands in the last few days, and it's always a good thing. That is an earmark for students. It's an earmark for a community as well to show what we're providing. But that is my report, and I will answer any questions if you have them.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye. Thank you, sir. Report from Public Works, Public Buildings Committee, Commissioner Weathers.
Mr. Chairman, Public Works Committee, Public Buildings Committee, met Thursday, April 18th at the courthouse at 5:30. Minutes are in your packet and they have been received in time.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Committee reports, Ag Center Management, Commissioner Scruggs.
No report.
Animal Control, Commissioner Breeze.
Animal Control met on May 9th at 5 p.m. in the upstairs conference room, and then also this evening, May 20th at 6:30. The minutes for the May 20th meeting will be in your next month's packet. I move the May 9th minutes in your packet will be received and filed.
Got a motion, a second, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Audit, Commissioner Glover.
No report.
Broadband, Commissioner Hall.
Broadband Cable TV Committee met on Tuesday, April 30th at 5 p.m. in the upstairs conference room. The minutes are in our packet, and I'd like to actually make a motion to amend them. They state that Tressa Bush was present at that meeting, and she was not.
Is there a motion to approve the amended minutes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, a motion to approve the report.
Motion.
All in favor, say aye. Commissioner Dow.
Yes, where are we at on this broadband and cable and internet and all of that stuff in my territory? People have been calling me, and I'd just like to get an update on when are they coming and where are we at? Where is all of this?
Well, we just had one of our 3 series meetings met about, I guess, a week and a half ago out at College Hills, and they all reported out on their projects, all of them, from the water authorities to the cable folks as well. I can put you in touch with whoever you need on.
Whoever's out there, is it DTC? I'm not even
DTC.
sure it is.
Yeah.
Okay, DTC. So what's the status on Middle Tennessee Electric? I know they're making people put that in beside their pole, and it's probably going to rot because I don't know when they'll ever run fiber up those poles or whatever, but that's a high price to be going in the ground with those, because I'm getting complaints on them too,
Let me get you both of their numbers, and you can talk to both of them and give them some specific questions. I can do that for you. Other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Development Tourism, Commissioner Brown.
Development Tourism Committee met on Tuesday, April 16th, 5:30 here at the courthouse. The minutes are in your packet. I move to be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Ethics, Commissioner Dow. Finance, Commissioner Costley.
No report.
Health and Recreation, Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our committee met April the 25th at 5:30 in the upstairs conference room. Your minutes are in your packet. I move that they be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Insurance, Commissioner McFarland.
No report.
Judicial, Commissioner Gentry.
No report.
Legislative Ad Hoc, Commissioner Costley.
No report.
Planning and Zoning, Commissioner McFarland.
Plan zone met on April 4th, 5:30. Minutes in fact moved to be approved.
So moved.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Rules, Commissioner Keith.
No report.
Yeah, there is.
There's minutes in the packet.
For the minutes, I read this very same thing. I'll go ahead and read it again. But the Rules Committee met April 15th, 2024 at 6:30 in the upstairs conference room. Yeah, I request they be received and filed, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Urban Type Facility Board, Commissioner Scruggs.
Minutes are in your packet, be received and filed.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Finance Director Report, Mr. Aaron Maynard.
Just a quick word on the status of the inventory. We are not finished. The inventory reconciliation, is in process for 15 of the 16 departments listed in the resolution. WEMA has not been begun at the present time for two reasons. Number one, WEMA has an approximate annual budget of $17 million, making the process of mining the data for technology assets a much more time-consuming process than the other departments. What we have to do is we have to pull a complete list of purchase orders for each department, go through purchase order by purchase order and decide whether something is technologically related or not. So this is not QuickBooks or Sage or Peachtree, which you'll be familiar with, where you can just go to an account and click on it and see everything that's in there. This is a batch-related accounting system that you just have to go search. On a $17 million a year budget for 5 years, that's a lot of searching to do. So we have not even started WEMA at the present time. Second reason we haven't done WEMA is WEMA already keeps a really good inventory system with Operative IQ, which I'm sure Commissioner Hobbs can tell you a lot about, Brian Newberry, but they already keep a very thorough inventory, as does the Sheriff's Department, who was not listed. It would be my desire, which I may not be granted, but it would be my desire that WEMA would be removed from that resolution based on the fact that they already have an inventory system and that it's that large a department. But if you want to keep it, that one's going to take a while. The inventory reconciliation for most of the other departments listed in the resolution are actually complete. We anticipate an additional 2 weeks are needed to finish the asset reconciliation and issue a final report. At that time, you can either conduct a special called meeting to go over any findings resulting from the inventory reconciliation. We can present the report and findings at the June County Commission meeting, or we can present the report and findings at a future Budget Committee meeting. It just depends on how you guys want to do it. You'll have to tell us. One thing that has become apparent, we were already working on an inventory system before this resolution. So what has become apparent is that our system for tracking assets below the capitalization threshold is insufficient. Significant strides are being made in this area with the addition of Blue Tally, which is an asset management software. It will assist in tracking assets assigned to each department and to each office and person within the department. We also have to improve our documentation of surplus items. Surplus items, which you're liable to see, is laptop. That doesn't tell me very much. I don't have a serial number. I don't have a make, a model. So that's one thing that's delaying the process as well, trying to determine what's been surplused. So we have noted that the description used on surplus item sheets are generally quite vague and do not provide enough information to trace the item disposed of to a specific item on our list. This is a process failure. It needs to be corrected as soon as possible as we move toward a more comprehensive inventory list of technology and other assets that are below the capitalization threshold. So that's where we stand with the inventory situation. With pay, I want to say, you know, many times we've come forward and been asked. I think the mayor mentioned 2 years ago, it was, I think we traded pennies with the school system and replaced some of those pennies with a transfer from Fund 121 to come up with the money to pay for the, what I think at the time was $6.7 million. In addition to, we had some excess revenues in the general fund. Last year, when we moved into the STEP plan, what allowed us to do that, in essence, was the state taking over the payments for the SROs. We basically took the $2.2 million that the state gave us for SROs, and that became the money that was used to get the employees into the steps. Is it enough? Look, things appear to be changing very, very rapidly. You know, it seems like we get competitive and then things shift on us very quickly. So I don't doubt that there's some adjustments that need to be made. I'll apologize to Commissioner Dowd on the way in here. He asked me about a tax increase for the building. I had not previously heard. I think what's under debate at the moment, if I'm understanding correctly, is not building the building and trying to use that money for employee compensation. That would be, if I picked up on what was being said correctly. I can't tell you if that would be enough money or not, because we don't, I'm still waiting to get those numbers. What if we took everybody across the county and slotted them in at a step? All right, but if that's going to drop your tax rate and your debt service fund down to 10 or 11 cents, you can vote that, but I'm going to tell you that's not smart. Okay? So I don't have any more moves to make as far as employee compensation is concerned. I know it needs to be addressed. I do not have any more magic rabbits to pull out of the hat. I've pulled, unless something happens in the next few months, that I see something that I'm not expecting. I realize that it's something that we need to continue to look at and continue to address. And I'll be quiet now and let you ask me any questions that you have for me.
Mr. Kurtz?
Mr. Mayor, the asset and the inventory, and what's the plan personnel-wise to manage that? I know we have a ticketing system, I believe, through technology for issues, but that's a beast. And how are we going to keep up with and manage an asset tag and get that in the inventory, keep up with the surplus list? Employee-wise?
It is a work in process. And for those of you who don't know, I brought in Mike Owen, former chief deputy with the Sheriff's Department, to assist with this process as a contractor. I don't have any money in payroll. I asked him if he would come work for me as a contractor, which means he sets his own schedule. He tells me when he's coming to work. I don't tell him. He knows what the job is. It's a work in process. I mean, you're right. It's going to be a lot to keep up with, a lot to track, and it's one reason probably it's never been done. But I think it's something that it's important that we do. So, whether that's going to mean we're going to need an additional person or another department is going to need an additional person, it makes sense at the end of the day to me for this to run, it has to run hand in hand with IT. If IT is going out and they're ordering this stuff and they're shipping it off to this department and that department and whatever, it's got to work in lockstep with them. Anything else?
Other questions?
Mr. Chairman, the finance director, if I'm not mistaken, recommended that WEMA be removed from this audit.
I did request that.
Marty Heckman does an excellent job of inventory. It started in 2005 when it started during my tenure, when we started getting Homeland Security money, and he keeps an excellent set of records, and I'd like to make the motion to this commission that they be removed from this audit process.
A motion is second. Can that happen?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
Mr. Bernard?
I was going to ask that too.
Got you.
I sincerely appreciate that. That would be a very large undertaking on a department that already does a really, really good job. So I sincerely appreciate that. Anything else?
Do you hear a motion to approve his report?
Thank you.
Motion approved.
All in favor, say aye. Report from Budget Committee, Commissioner Marlowe.
Budget Committee met May 9th in the conference room. Minutes are in your packet. Move they be received and filed.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Resolution 24-5-3, accepting a grant on the 24-25 Litter Grant Program and authorizing the county mayor to execute the contract.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Hobbs had to step out. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Oh, he's back. Voting on the litter grant, are you up or down on the litter grant, Mr. Hobbs? Up. He's good. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24-0, resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-4 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution by approving Wilson County Board of Education Budget Amendment 24-12.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Gentry, Commissioner Kurtz. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24-1, resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-5 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution by approving Wilson County Board of Education budget 24-11.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24-1, resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-6 to approve and accept the grant Petco Love for animal control.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24-1, resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-7 approving a lease agreement for Finance Department.
Do you hear a motion? Got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? Are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24-1, resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-8 approving a lease agreement for county clerk.
Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record.
23 yes, 1 no, 1 absent.
23 yes, 1 no, 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-9 approving a lease agreement for Ag Extension Services.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Weathers? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record.
23 yes, 1 no, 1 absent.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-10 to reflect revenues received but not included in the original budget, and to amend the budget and appropriation resolution to make an appropriation to medical and dental services line item in the Sheriff's Department.
Move to approve. Discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner Glover? All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record.
24-1.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-11 to amend the budget and appropriation resolution for line item transfers in PEG Department.
Motion to approve.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. Commissioner McFarland? Yes. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24 and 1 absent. Resolution passes.
Resolution 24-5-12, authorizing the issuance of $84 million of general obligation bonds.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address this, please.
Yes, sir.
There's been a letter circulating among members of the commission concerning a possible company that could save some funds up to 20% of $84 million, a considerable sum, and I would like to make a motion we defer this for 30 days, let that company come make a presentation to see if this is realistic or not, and if so, we can follow up at that time. But my motion is defer for 30 days.
Got a motion to defer and a second. Question, Mayor. Where this project has been approved, went to architect, we paid for that, went out to bid, got a bidder that got the bid, now it's back, been through 3-4 committees, and now back before them for approval. Commissioner McFarland has a company, and some of the guys came in the back tonight that was going to speak, but didn't speak during public comment period, but to talk about them taking this project and looking at it and see if they could save us 20%. Once we bid something, can we turn it over to another company to see if they can cut that bid? Is that legal?
No, sir. We'll either have to approve or reject the bid, one of the two.
So we could reject the bids tonight and then start all over, and if you want to do that, that would be fine.
If you're asking me, the resolution that's in force right now allows either a hard bid or a, what's the term, Diane? Guaranteed maximum bid, and this is what the company does, is a different function. Whichever it requires. I don't think we need to spend $84 million of taxpayers' money when we've been told by letter to many of us, I got it on email, I'm quite sure everybody else did too, that savings can be made and we need to save all we can. 2 or 3 fire stations, whatever. So I think we need to postpone it for 30 days, whatever the mechanism is.
So your resolution that's out there that was here a long time ago when whatever happened, and they did away with that. You guys voted to do away with that particular type of bid or whatever, to my understanding. But that's irrelevant tonight. Tonight, you've got a bid before you of $84 million that you can, I think, according to our attorney.
How long is the bid good for?
It's good for 60 days.
Okay. You'll either need to approve or reject the bid, one of the two.
Yeah.
You can't really bid it and then let somebody else come in and
Relook
look at it. That'd be the same way as the second or third highest bidder saying, now that you've got a low bid, let me take another look at it and see if I can cut it. That's just not the way it works.
Yeah. Commissioner Weathers?
You were talking about a resolution, you said, is that what you were saying?
That's what I'd always heard before about a resolution that we passed a while back.
2007.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that too. I need to look at that because my understanding was we did away, we said everything had to be hard bid.
It's either or.
Either or? 2007?
Yes, sir. 07-10-9.
Which one? Give me the number again. I didn't hear it, Diane.
07-10-9.
Okay.
So it was.
But it doesn't say that you can hard bid it and then go back and
No.
have somebody else take
Well,
a look at it.
we've been living under the impression that you cannot do a guaranteed maximum. You only have to do hard bid. And this one was put out there to say that you did either.
Either
One or the
hard
other.
bid,
One or
hard
the
bid,
other.
or
It says here, building projects shall be publicly and competitively bid either by the standard bidding process or the use of guaranteed maximum price procedure. That's both, right?
But it doesn't say that once you bid it, you can let another group come in and try to nitpick the bid, for lack of a better term.
That's true. I agree to that. But
we're back
when
to-
we've had somebody come to us and tell us that they could help us save between 10 and 22%, and we didn't even listen to them, that's why I think McFarland was going where he was, because.
I'm not speaking to that issue.
Okay.
I'm speaking of the fact
Well, I am. Yeah.
the bid in front of you is good for 60 days.
That's right.
It's either needs to be approved or rejected.
If it not be analyzed 30 days, then we approve or reject it at that time? That's what,
Who's going to do the analyzing?
Diane? Hewlett Spencer
Well, I mean,
Company.
you have the right.
Hewlett Spencer Company.
You have the right to defer it.
That's all I'm asking,
But
defer
what
30 days.
you're saying is you're making an end run on what I just told you. You do. You've got to.
I'm trying to save taxpayers' money here.
I understand taxpayers' money, Jerry. I've been in it 41 years. I understand it.
I understand that.
But that's not the way you do it, is to go through the process of bidding and then start letting somebody start taking a look at it. Now, if you want to reject the bid, you have every right to do that.
Is that not what they did on Mount Jude High School, Lebanon High
I
School?
have no idea. Y'all are going back 10, 12, 15 years. I don't know. Well, what I'm saying is, what you got in front of you. You have the right to approve it or reject it. And can you defer it? Yes. But I don't think you can let somebody take a look at it and then come in and rely upon that. I think you're playing with fire there. The man that's got the bid may put you in court.
He will. But you can reject a bid. You can reject a bid tonight and start all over. That's what you want to do.
I remember the high school bids, both of them, and I remember the analysis that was done by Spencer Company, and if the only way to do it, reject the bid, I make a motion to reject the bid.
Second. I got a motion and a second, so we're taking the other one off. You're taking your first bid, you're taking your first motion off.
Correct.
And you're going to reject the bid. Got a motion and a second. Now discussion. Commissioner Kurtz.
I do agree that we would pass the point of no return with having somebody else take another bite at the apple with the bid. However, it's interesting that if there's a chance to save 1% or 10%, 1% I would maybe be against that, but if we can save 10%, $8 million, I think it costs us a little less than that to get into the pay plan, 7.2 or 7.3. So if we could save 10%, I would sure like to take a look at that. We're not in a rush to do this, and if we can save it, then let's take a step back. Let's save the money.
I think, and also, Commissioner Kurtz, to your point, the $84 million that's out for our bond 20 years, I think is what the process, remember the $84 million don't come all at one time. We pay how much we pay per year for that, $1 million, $2 million, somewhere in there. So it's nowhere close to funding a pay plan because that comes installments, just so we're clear on that piece.
At the end of the day, though, we would be paying, we would be issuing bonds for $84 million. For
You would be.
multi-level court complex within 2 or 3 years.
You're paying that over 20 years. I was just saying the money you're freeing up is not enough to pay for the pay plan. That's all I was just trying to make sure we understood. Commissioner Bernard?
I'm just curious, like on this $84 million that we got here in front of us,
Yes.
how much have we spent on that? Or have we spent anything yet?
You have. You spent $850,000 on the beginning for the plan design, and I'm not for sure what all is involved in it right now.
Obviously, we can use a plan, but will that cost us anything to get it out for another bid?
I'm sure there's more cost to it, and then, of course, you let the cat out of the bag on how much you bid this one for, so I'm sure it won't go down, I don't think, but that's just what we talk about. Commissioner Chandler?
I know we've done a lot of work on this and research, and like many of you, I think we can continue to put it off a little bit, especially when we realize how much and how low our employees are paid. It's hard to spend $84 million on a project when we can't staff a jail. And I would much rather have a jail that's staffed and have packed courtrooms than us having to potentially release inmates because they can't staff the jail adequately. Right. That's a scary, scary thing to think of. We see it in other communities where they're releasing people early out on bail or bond, and they're going back out there and committing more crime. I just don't want to see that, and I hate it because I know y'all put a lot of work into this, and same with our judges and the clerks and the mayor himself, and just something else reared its head that we have to focus on, and that's ensuring our people are paid adequately. We have to take care of our people.
Commissioner Hall?
I'm just looking at Exhibit A on this bond issuance, and it says the estimated debt service and cost of issuance is showing for fiscal year 24-25, it's $2.6 million. And it's my understanding that 1% raise for our employees is about $375,000.
No, sir. Mr. Maynard, correct you.
Yeah, no, it's closer to $1 million. Closer to $1 million, okay. I've been told incorrectly.
2%, I'm sorry, 2%.
2%'s $1 million. 2%'s $1 million.
Okay, so $500,000 for 1%.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Not bad.
So you could do, if you took the pennies that we're putting aside for this $2.6 million on this bond issuance, you could do a 5% raise for our employees right now. So.
I got several in the hopper, Mr. McFarland. We're going to listen to them first, and then we'll call the question. Commissioner Hall, are you done? Okay. Commissioner Denton?
Yes, it seems to me like there's been almost an assumption of approval from the very beginning of this thing. Bothers me because in a meeting about 6-7 months ago, Mr. Maynard said, I talked to him the other night, I wanted to make sure I didn't misunderstand, $60 million we was going to spend for the courthouse at the time, and $40 million we were going to spend for the school at the time. The school came in at $58 million. Now this is coming at $84 million. He said when we went to 60 and the 40, which would have been $100 million, that would have put our debt limit at a ceiling where we would have had to raise property taxes. We're already now over 40,000 more than that amount, which seems to put us real close to that. But what's going to happen is the very next project comes along, I don't care what it's for, that project's going to get the blame for property taxes, when the blame for property taxes will be on this vote here. And I cannot see, I appreciate all of our justice workers. They're friends of mine. I appreciate them. I understand all the work that's been done. But this ready, set, go philosophy, I think, has put us in a position that the next school that's built, schools will get the blame for it. Or if we were to have a pay raise and have to do a property tax, and I've done everything in my power to see it's not raised. And because I don't want to see property taxes, 43% of our, I think of $137 million a year comes in from property taxes. That's a lot of money. Property tax, our property owners has enough burden right now. So I think that instead of just deferring it, we ought to consider not approving it at all for this moment now. Maybe a day come, I'm not saying we don't need it or do, well, I know we can do without it right now. If a school comes along, we won't have any choice, we'll have to build it. And that'll get the blame for it. Or if we do a pay raise, when our law enforcement now gets a small percentage of our budget, and we have to do a pay raise for that, it doesn't look good at all for us building an $84 million building that we don't have to have right now. That's my take on it, but to me, it's not ever been an approval, it's been an assumption of approval, which bothers me just a little bit.
Just to counter what you said, Pastor, the $84 million that we asked at the very beginning of the money that you guys set aside in the debt service to cover buildings, that money is in there without a tax increase, and it's set aside in a separate category for that. And then the Special Purpose Tax School Fund has enough money in there to build a Central Pike Middle School, Central Pike Elementary School. So we know both of those exist. You're exactly right. You could say, hey, let's don't do the multi-level and see if Mr. Maynard or you guys would move pennies over to go to employees. You can do that, whatever you decide on that. That's not a problem. But we've always had that same philosophy here, same one we're reverting back to now. While we did the pay plan, we want to raise taxes for employees? No, let's don't do that. And they've always been on the back burner. That's why we did the pay plan, so they would be taken out first. And so as we're starting back here, the need for the court system never was brought to you until there was enough money in the debt service to cover it. It's been over 6 years in the workings. Of course, if you attended any of the meetings here, you heard the judges and everybody talk about their level and what their need was. So it's not been, we really don't need this, don't do it. They've been hounding for quite some time. But we never brought it to you until the money was there. Now, you're the guys in charge. You don't want to do it, then we won't do it. I mean, I'm good either way. But to say that the funds were in the account that we pay for that out of, it's there. Schools, a separate deal, Special Purpose Tax School Fund for that one. And the employees, yeah, I mean, when you go to giving them some, it's going to require a tax or some type of revenue increase. And if you do some of it this year, and then next year when you have the pay plan study done, or you can say, hey, scratch it. But when you do the pay plan study next year, that'll require revenue too. That's why we try to do it every couple of years and do it all at one time. So that is my only caution to you. That is what I'm here for, to give you the information. But you make the calls on all this. I don't. But just to kind of clear that issue up. So this is not it's been something that's been talked about for quite some time. Commissioner Rich?
on what Commissioner Chandler was talking about. One of the biggest issues that I have is that $84 million all in that we have on this facility, and we still have an issue of parking that we still have to deal with. And some of that money to complete parking for that facility is probably going to end up having to come out of the general fund. And I have a hard time telling employees that a parking lot is more important than them.
So Commissioner Rich, we followed back up with that workshop on that. So we have enough money in this budget to build a multi-level system down there. But Commissioner Jones and the Budget Committee had advised me to try to buy the properties in behind there, and whichever was the cheapest we would do for the additional parking. So that's already in there.
That is in the $84 million.
Yes, sir, it is. Yes, sir. So, but the houses may be cheaper than the addition. So that's what they said, hey, let's negotiate both of those, and that's what we're doing now. So that parking is there.
Okay.
Commissioner Denton?
Yes, just the money's there, not that we can afford it, but that we can afford to borrow it. I think we have to see it that way rather than we can afford it. We can just afford to borrow it. But it puts us at a top limit for anything else we're going to do future. But the second problem, we got a tremendous infrastructure problem there. I live in that area. I have to drive it every day. You can't get around there now. When we add 800 more cars, to what I understand, on a daily basis, that's going to be a disaster in that corner right there. The traffic cannot move. It backs all the way up to Lebanon Distributing now. We've got, and all the way back the other way, almost back to TRW. It's a nightmare right in there. So infrastructure is going to be a tremendous problem because we're having now to go buy land to try to fix some of that. So I just see that we've spent it's just a whole lot of money to spend. When we started out at $60 million, we're at $84 now.
So we're back to Commissioner McFarland's motion, which was to not defer, was to reject. To reject. Reject.
No, let me make it very clear what I'm saying. When you go to public bid on something and the low bid comes in, when you start tinkering with that in any way, you open yourself up to a potential lawsuit. Now, I'm not telling you to accept, reject, or whatever, but I am saying that once you go to that process, that's the reason governments are required to bid it. That's the reason, as you already mentioned, public taxpayer money. If I want to build something for myself, if I want to build a home, I don't have to bid it. Now, I may call several builders, but I don't have to do an official formal bid. But for governments, we do. And when that happens, once you've got the bid, then if you start tinkering with that, and that's not a good legal term, but that's one I grew up with. When you start tinkering with that, you open yourself up for potential litigation from a successful bidder to this point, okay? So what you want to do with it is fine, but I would encourage you not to defer it to tinker with the bid. If you think you want somebody else to look at it, then reject the bid.
Move to reject the bid.
Second.
Commissioner Marlowe?
Mike, could this company that's in question here, could they not also have, give the county a bid for this project?
They don't do that, I don't think. Because I met with them a while back, and they charge you for a service to come in here and just oversee the project. Because I asked him the same thing, I said, why don't you just put a bid in? And he said, we don't do that, we oversee projects. I believe I'm correct on that.
Okay.
So you just pay for the service and start all over. Commissioner Breeze?
I still have a question about the operating dollars. You don't have to think my mic's on. I know we talked about it. But, there we go. Okay. So I had a question about operating dollars. I know we talked about this before, but I think based on the question, or the answers I was getting, for utilities and additional staff, we're looking at least $500,000 to $500,000 annually. So in 2026, when this opens, we're going to have to try to find that. And I don't know if that's been answered as to where that's going to come from.
We did answer it in the workshop, if you remember. We talked about that we would add that to it, and Commissioner Marlowe would back me up on that one. Yeah.
How are we going to, we're just going to put it in growth money, or pay for it with growth money? Is that right?
You remember the sheriff talked about that the extra person, he would move all personnel over.
Right.
We would wait to get in there to see if he actually needed somebody extra in the tower. Robert talked about adding somebody possibly to be there during the day. We don't have anybody now during the day to take care of spills and stuff, but he would work through his budget process to get that. The utility cost, you know, I think Jason told you what that cost would be, and I don't remember exactly what that was, but we.
Yeah, I think it was $300,000 or $400,000 a year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's.
Significant with the amount of growth money that we're seeing nowadays.
Yeah, questions called for. Got a motion to reject and a second. All in favor, are you ready to vote? If you want to reject the bid, you vote yes. If you don't want to, you vote no. Commissioner Marlowe. Commissioner Marlowe.
I haven't seen that.
Yes. Sorry. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record.
22 yes, 2 no, 1 absent.
Resolution rejected. Let's move forward.
Resolution 24-5-13, requesting that all public safety telecommunicators be elevated to the status of first responders.
Any discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to defer this to June, because I want to make sure that this is actually brought to the EMA committee in June, and then we can bring it to the full commission in June.
Got a motion to defer in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Your idea.
And we've already done the amendment, hadn't we?
Yeah, we got one more.
One more?
Need to, a motion to go out of session to vote on the next one.
Go out of session.
All in favor, say aye.
This is to amend the budget to make an appropriation to animal control for $4,000 for animal disposal.
Second.
Motion.
Any discussion? Are you ready to vote? Please cast your vote. All hearts and minds good with your vote? Please record. 24-1, resolution passes. Any old business? Motion to go back into session? All in favor, say aye. Any old business to come before the body? Any new business? I get a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned.